The Pittsburgh Steelers are facing an interesting crossroads as they prepare for the 2025 NFL Draft. And one of the biggest decisions might be whether to select a quarterback in the first, second, or third round. This becomes especially true if they can't land high-profile quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson in free agency. It's a real possibility that they could be looking at quarterbacks like Shedeur, Jackson Dart, and Tyler Shuck as potential future franchise quarterbacks. I've been following the draft closely, and today I'm diving into a full breakdown of these quarterbacks and what they could bring to the Steelers if selected. So, make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already, because you're not going to find better Steelers draft coverage anywhere else on YouTube. We're not just talking about these quarterbacks, we're also going in-depth with positional rankings, weekly mock drafts, and everything else you need to know about who the Steelers might draft this year. Now, before we get into the details of these quarterbacks, let me start by saying something that I think a lot of fans might agree with. I'd rather not use a first-round pick on a quarterback in 2025. This is not a particularly strong quarterback class, and traditionally speaking, the Steelers have had success drafting high-impact players at positions like defensive tackle, running back, or cornerback in the first round. These are areas where the Steelers could get a player who can come in and contribute immediately, which is something that doesn't necessarily align with taking a quarterback in the first round, especially given the talent in this draft. However, there's a caveat. If the Steelers can't secure Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson through free agency, then the need for a quarterback becomes much more pressing. With Mason Rudolph still in the fold, it's clear that he's not a viable long-term solution for the Steelers. The Steelers are going to need to shift their focus to the future, and a quarterback in round one becomes a much more realistic option if they miss out on the big free agent targets. With that said, let's dive into the scouting reports for some of the top quarterbacks who might be available for the Steelers this year. First up, we have Shedeur from Colorado. Now, it's important to note that I won't be discussing Cam Ward, as it seems likely that the Tennessee Titans will take him number 1 overall. He's probably out of the Steelers' range anyway, so we won't waste time on that. However, Shedeur might be an intriguing option if he falls to the Steelers at pick 21. Let me tell you, I do think Sanders has a pretty decent chance of becoming a solid NFL starting quarterback. So let's start with the positives. One of the first things I like about Shedeur is his mental processing. He has a remarkable ability to go through a full field progression, getting from his first read to his second, third, and fourth, and even checking down when necessary. This is something you want in an NFL quarterback. It shows that he has the mental acuity to process defenses quickly and efficiently. Another thing I really appreciate about him is his quick release. His throwing mechanics are clean and smooth, which helps him stay accurate, especially on short and intermediate throws. His accuracy is consistent, which is critical in the NFL, where you need precision in tight windows. Shedeur also impresses me with his ball placement. It's not just about being accurate. It's about knowing where to place the ball. Whether it's throwing to a receiver's outside shoulder to protect them or understanding the leverage of a defender, Sanders seems to get that right. He's one of the best in this class at throwing the ball to the right spot to give his receivers the best chance to make a play. And let's talk about his ability to handle pressure. At Colorado, his offensive line wasn't exactly stellar, so he's been forced to deal with pressure regularly. In fact, I think he might be the best quarterback in this class when it comes to managing pressure. He knows how to step up in the pocket or scramble to extend plays, and his numbers under pressure are impressive. Additionally, Sanders shows excellent recognition of blitzes. He knows how to adjust his protection, directing his offensive line and running backs to pick up the blitz, which is a skill you can't undervalue. But beyond that, Sanders is great when things break down and he has to make plays on the move. He's incredibly accurate while rolling out of the pocket and keeping his eyes downfield, looking for open receivers. This ability to make plays outside the pocket is an underrated strength of his game. Now, let's not forget the unique pressure Shedeur faces. Being the son of Deion Sanders means he's used to the spotlight, and while some might crumble under that pressure, Sanders has thrived. If he were to land with the Steelers, a franchise with an intense fan base, I think he would handle it just fine. Of course, no prospect is perfect, and Shedeur does have his weaknesses. His arm strength, for one, is below average when it comes to NFL starting quarterbacks. While it might be slightly stronger than players like Brock Purdy and Tua Tagovailoa, it's still not ideal for a guy who will be asked to make tough throws in the NFL. Additionally, Sanders struggles with anticipation on his throws. He can go through his reads, but often he waits too long for his receivers to break open before he throws the ball. In the NFL, that could lead to a lot of interceptions, especially when throwing over the middle of the field. Another concern is his tendency to hold onto the ball for too long. A lot of his plays last year were based on RPOs and quick screens. And while he was effective in those situations, he didn't always get rid of the ball quickly when going through a full progression. This is something he'll have to work on in the NFL, where holding onto the ball too long can lead to big losses or turnovers. In terms of physical gifts, Shedeur is a good but not great athlete. He's capable of moving when needed, but he's not a dynamic runner, and that limits his upside in today's NFL, where mobile quarterbacks are becoming more and more valuable. His lack of high-end physical traits and his struggles with anticipation mean that his ceiling is probably in the range of a good but not elite starter in the NFL. When I think of Shedeur Sanders, I compare him to Teddy Bridgewater. Now, there's nothing wrong with being compared to Teddy Bridgewater. He had a solid career as a starter in the NFL. But, like Bridgewater, Shedeur Sanders will need a strong supporting cast around him to succeed. He'll need a good offensive line, a reliable running game, and playmakers at receiver. He'll also need a creative offensive coordinator who can design plays to fit his strengths. For the Steelers, I wouldn't want them to trade up to draft Sanders. His arm strength and lack of anticipation would be concerns, especially in the windy, rainy, and sometimes snowy conditions the Steelers play in. His upside is limited, which is why I would grade him as a late first-round or early second-round pick. That said, I think someone will take a chance on him, possibly in the top 10. My guess is that the Cleveland Browns, known for making questionable quarterback decisions, could be the team to pull the trigger on Sanders. If you're watching this and wondering whether the Steelers should take a quarterback in round 1 this year, I want to hear your thoughts. What's the likelihood, on a scale of 0 to 100, that the Steelers go for a quarterback in the first round? Let me know in the comments below. Let's now take a look at another quarterback who's been heavily linked to the Pittsburgh Steelers in the 2025 NFL Draft, Jackson Dart. This guy is one of the more polarizing quarterbacks in draft discussions, especially within Steelers fan circles. People either love him or hate him, and honestly, I think there are solid reasons on both sides of the debate. So, let's break down Jackson Dart and what he could bring to Pittsburgh if the Steelers were to select him in the draft. First, let's talk about Dart's arm strength. This is one of the first things that stands out when watching his tape. He has a solid arm, definitely in the B+ to A range when compared to NFL quarterbacks. He has no trouble making all the throws from short and intermediate passes to deep bombs down the field. If the Steelers are looking for someone who can push the ball vertically and stretch the field, Dart's arm strength is definitely a plus. In fact, I think Dart might have one of the better arms in this draft class, especially when you compare him to other quarterbacks like Shedeur Sanders, who doesn't have the same zip on his throws. Dart also pairs that arm strength with a solid level of accuracy. He's consistently on target, and when you factor in his ability to hit receivers on deep balls, it makes him an intriguing option for the Steelers, who are looking to increase their big play potential in the passing game. His deep ball efficiency has been impressive, especially with Ole Miss, where he had a number of explosive plays and connected on some truly remarkable throws downfield. Another thing that stands out about Dart is his touch on the ball. Whether the deep throw to the sideline or a perfectly placed pass over the defense, Dart has a great feel for touch passes. I think this is something the Steelers could find very attractive, given their need for a quarterback who can connect on those long throws that drop right into the receiver's hands. If you've been watching the Steelers for the past few years, you know they've struggled with big plays down the field, and Dart's ability to throw with touch and precision in those situations could really elevate their offense. But arm strength and accuracy are not the only things that make Dart a viable NFL prospect. He's also a decent athlete who can make plays with his legs when necessary. Now, don't get me wrong, Dart is not a mobile quarterback in the sense of someone like Lamar Jackson or even Justin Fields. He's not going to rush for 1,000 yards in a season. However, he has enough mobility to extend plays when things break down, and that's something that could be useful in a system like the Steelers. While he's not a dynamic threat with his legs, he's able to escape pressure and pick up some crucial yards when things aren't going according to plan. This adds another layer to his game and gives him a bit of an edge over other quarterbacks who are more limited in that area. On top of that, Dart has shown flashes of anticipation, which is something that can make a big difference at the next level. He's capable of reading defenses and anticipating when and where his receivers are going to break open. This is a skill that separates good quarterbacks from great ones, and Dart has shown that he has the mental processing ability to make that happen. He's also shown he can work through his progressions, moving from his first read to his second, and so on, even though it hasn't been a consistent part of his game. That's something that will need to be refined, especially when he transitions to the NFL, where quarterbacks are expected to make quick decisions and process defenses on the fly. Another concern with Dart is his lack of high-end physical traits. Like I mentioned earlier, he has solid arm strength, but it's not elite, and he's not a dynamic runner. He doesn't have that wow factor that some of the other quarterbacks in this class have, and while that doesn't automatically disqualify him from being successful, it does limit his ceiling. I think Dart's upside is more in line with a solid starter in the NFL rather than a potential superstar. I see his ceiling as similar to a guy like Derek Carr, someone who could be an effective starting quarterback, but not necessarily someone who is going to elevate a team to championship contention on his own. In terms of his NFL projection, I have Dart graded as a second-round pick. I think the Steelers could take him in the second round, especially if they haven't addressed the quarterback position in the first round or through free agency. If they're able to get him in the second or even third round, it would be a solid pick for a team that is looking to develop a quarterback for the future. Dart has the tools to become a starter, but he needs to improve in several areas, particularly when it comes to his decision-making and pocket presence. Now, let's talk about another quarterback who's been getting a lot of buzz in the draft world, Tyler Shuck from Louisville. Shuck is a player I'm actually higher on than a lot of people. While I might be lower on Dart and Sanders than most, I think Shuck has a lot of upside and could be a real gem for the Steelers if they can get him in the second round. There's a lot to like about his game, and I think he's one of the more underrated quarterbacks in this draft class. The first thing that stands out about Shuck is his mental processing. He's arguably the best mental processor in this class. His ability to go from one read to the next is incredibly quick, and his decision-making is very sharp. This is crucial for an NFL quarterback, where quick decisions can make the difference between a big play and a turnover. Shuck is very comfortable operating in a pro-style offense, which is a big plus. He's used to reading defenses, making adjustments at the line of scrimmage, and handling the complexities that come with a more advanced defensive system. This makes him more pro-ready than many of the other quarterbacks in this draft class. In terms of physical tools, Shuck has an excellent arm. It's not Mahomes or Allen level, but it's certainly strong enough to make all the necessary throws at the NFL level. He's got great mechanics, both in terms of his footwork and his upper body. His clean mechanics lead to good accuracy, and he's one of the more accurate quarterbacks in this class. He's also shown a lot of promise when it comes to throwing with anticipation, particularly on timing routes. This is another area where he stands out from guys like Dart and Sanders, who struggle with anticipation at times. But Shuck is not without his flaws. His biggest concern is his age. He'll be 26 in September, which means he has a much shorter runway to prove himself as an NFL starter. Additionally, he has some injury history, including a broken collarbone and leg injuries, which could affect his long-term durability. Despite these concerns, I still think Shuck is one of the more polished quarterbacks in this class and could be a great fit for the Steelers if they're looking for someone who is ready to step in and start quickly. As I wrap up this breakdown of quarterbacks, I want to hear from you. If the Steelers were to take a quarterback in the first round, who would you pick? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm really excited to see how the Steelers address the quarterback position in the 2025 draft. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Could one of the most electrifying quarterbacks in the NFL be on the move? The rumor mill is buzzing with speculation that Josh Allen could be heading to the Pittsburgh Steelers, sending shockwaves through the league. While no official sources have confirmed the possibility, whispers of a potential blockbuster trade have fueled excitement among Steelers fans eager for a franchise-altering addition. With Pittsburgh's long-standing search for a dominant quarterback post-Ben Roethlisberger, the mere thought of Allen donning the black and gold is enough to set the city on fire. At first glance, the idea of the Buffalo Bills parting ways with their star quarterback seems improbable. Allen has been the face of the franchise, rewriting records and leading Buffalo to multiple playoff appearances. However, recent reports suggest internal concerns regarding salary cap constraints and a possible shift in the team's long-term vision. If the Bills entertain trade talks, Pittsburgh, equipped with an elite defense and a coaching staff known for maximizing talent, could present an intriguing destination. The Steelers' offensive unit, featuring young playmakers like George Pickens and Najee Harris, would undoubtedly benefit from Allen's dual-threat abilities, instantly transforming them into Super Bowl contenders. Of course, any move of this magnitude would require a monumental trade package, likely including multiple first-round picks and key assets. Yet, history has shown that the Steelers aren't afraid to make bold moves when the opportunity arises. Could Allen be the missing piece that reignites the Steelers' championship aspirations? As speculation intensifies, the NFL world eagerly awaits the next twist in this high-stakes saga. Whether reality or mere fantasy, the prospect of Josh Allen under center in Pittsburgh is a thrilling storyline that refuses to fade. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.